Good afternoon again, brothers and sisters in Christ. Well, happy Father's Day to all the fathers and fathers-to-be. Welcome to our program. This is a program put on by the ladies of the church to speak of men's health, etc. Right? And to do that, we have none other than Nurse Hunte from the Mount Hope Women's Hospital in Mount Hope. Nurse Hunte, we welcome you.
So good afternoon, everybody. So I am Janice Sampson. I am a midwife presently, but I'm also a family planning health educator. So when my sister requested that they would like to put on a program for the men of the church on the occasion of Father's Day with special reference to men's health, I did put a program together where we would be engaging men, young men and older men. But I slightly adjusted it as I see the presence of the children. So, we have to give appropriate information for appropriate age. Yes? So, the information will serve everyone. Do I need a mic? Yes. I try to get away from mic. So, in keeping with the topic of men's health, generally, men hardly go to seek medical aid only when it's water more than flour. Is that true? They hardly want to go to the doctor or the health center where the service is free for any kind of information or checkup. So the women are the ones who take the information at home and take care of the men folk. Yes, their companions, their sons, nephews, who have you. And so it is an opportunity to reach the men. I'm a little disappointed. I thought we were going to have full house of men here. Let's ask God to hasten their footsteps to those who are coming and bring them in safety, mighty Lord. Amen. Amen. Because they're going to miss out on some very important topics, but it's up to who present here to pass it on to them. I was in touch with Effie, and I did send some documents up that they would have photocopy for you guys on prostate health, on breast examination, on different topics that the pastor there has in a folder. So probably at some point they'll distribute it to you guys. But I have each of the copy here, and I will go through them. So the first bit of information I want to share is that what is sexual health and sexuality? It has nothing to do with getting together. Yes? Sexuality is reflected in the total expression of who we are as human beings, be it children or adults. It is shaped by our values, attitudes, behaviors, physical appearance, beliefs, emotions, personality, likes and dislikes, and our spiritual selves, as well as the ways in which we have been socialized. So our first education, our first house of information is the home. So if we have been socialized in the home to have respectable behavior and conversations, we will extend it when we go outside. But sometimes the children see misbehavior on the television, on the media, whatever social bits they're exposed to. And sometimes when they misbehave, they sound cute when they're small, and we laugh and giggle, so they think it's a joke and it's all right. But when we're in public or we're out there and they display the same behavior, we want to wring their ears and discipline them quietly and quickly. But that won't work. So if it's acceptable in the house and can make everybody laugh and so on, then it's good outside. But if it's not good to go outside, then something happening in the home. So we have to straighten from the first establishment where we have education, which is the home. Yeah? And not wait for the church and the society to do it, the church and the school. It works in the school now. since I've taken away prayers and so on, it's worse. You're not getting that kind of, because I remember from way back when, in school when there were prayers and so on, we never used to have fights and this kind of thing what I see going on now. I am so aghast when I see misbehavior in school children on the television. I'm like, where that coming from? You know? I mean, I think that happened elsewhere, not here in Trinidad and Tobago. Nevertheless, sexuality begins before birth and lasts a lifetime. So as a midwife, I always like to start with a baby. A baby in arms, a breastfeeding baby knows who to trick. Knows who, when they see pass, to reach out to, or to gargle, or to barber. They know very early, because their sexuality starts from birth. It's influenced by the spiritual sense, cultural and moral factors. It involves giving and receiving pleasure, enabling reproduction. Sexuality is a total sensory experience involving the whole body and mind, and not just genitals. That means it's an open definition. Yeah? Sexual is the ability to express one's sexuality free of the risk of STIs and STDs, sexual reproductive, sexual infection and disease. And there's a difference between the infection and the disease. Are you all aware of that? STI is different from an STD. So STI is one that could what? Be cured with antibiotics. And STD is for life, like HIV. And herpes is for life. Other things like running and gonorrhea and so on, and syphilis is infection that could be cured one spot in time. Yeah? So as a family planning nurse, and a nurse that brings people awareness of where they're at, what level they're at. When we say family planning, the first connotation of family planning is contraceptives. But that's just one little minute part of family planning. Family planning is generally testing, detection, and cure. Yes? Testing, detection, and the treatment. The last or small portion of family planning is contraceptives. And you know, that's the next whole topic by itself, which is geared for mainly females. It's geared mainly for females. And few of the contraceptives are for male. Not few, just two. Yeah? See, does it matter? Hello? So according to WHO, sexual health is the integration of the physical, emotional, intellectual, and social aspects of human beings in which they are positively enriching. It enhances personality, communication, and love. Every person has a right to receive sexual information and to consider relationships for pleasure or procreation. So generally, sexual health is geared towards the young adult or the person who may be thinking of procreation to bring more human beings, little ones. Yeah? So we often warn or advise young persons that when they're thinking of becoming engaged, they must think of the possibility of procreation, because that possibility is always there once you're alive and kicking. Yes? Once those eggs are there. Yes? Once those eggs and sperms are kicking and alive, within the reproductive age, there's always the possibility of procreation. So for the men, we want to gear in or zero in on the men's health. So everybody's supposed to get this information and know how to apply it. So zeroing on the men and their self-awareness, I came with some information that I've sent along. I don't know if you have a document on men's breast examination and men's testicular examination. These are do-it-yourself examination. And if there's a problem, you should attend a clinic, be it the health center or private doctor, to get to the source of the problem. Still hearing me, right? Yes? So the document on male cell breast examination. The only difference between the male and female is that the male do not have the amount of fat, milk cells, and that elastic tissue for breast stretching during breastfeeding, pregnancy and breastfeeding. That's the only difference. Men have the same tissue as the female, and believe it or not, you are prone to breast cancer just like the females, especially if there's a history of cancer in your family. We talk about a family tree where we have mother, father, brother, sister, grandmother, grandfather, uncle, aunt, cousins, second cousins, first cousins, because the Bible speaks about the second and third generation of things being passed on to them. Yes? And so, once there's a history of cancer, the probability of getting cancer is higher. Yes? So that men ought to do their breast examination just like the females. So there is a monthly examination that you should do just like the females, and start probably in the shower or after shower. Yes, going around like using the face of a clock from 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, you go right away around, feeling for any lumps, any pain, any sensitive area that wasn't there before. Mark it. Right, left, inner, outer. So inner is the inner aspect of the chest, outer is by under the arm. Yes? So men, take note. You check your nipple as well. If it looks like a salt prune, hello. We may have some cells that are not supposed to be there. Yes? You're checking both sides, you're checking for lumps, checking for pain, and you're taking note. So that when you go to the healthcare person, you'll be able to say exactly what you felt and where. Also for the testicles, you have your self-examination, so you're feeling for lump, pain, any sore area that may not have been there before, and take note. Once we leave it, oh, I lift up the heavy bucket of sand. Oh, was it bag of cement? Or was it 4 bricks? No, don't put it up to maybe something. Once there's difficulty, pain, or problems that wasn't there before, check it out. Get it checked out. It might be by ultrasound, x-ray, or what you call a probe. So there are different means of getting to the problem, or eventually an MRI, where they do an imaging, body imaging, and they pick up those cells that are not supposed to be there. Okay? You have another document on your prostate health awareness. Yes? Again, if there's a history of cancer in the family, take note. Alright? The more you know about the normal development and function of the prostate, where it's located, what it's attached to, you can better understand if there's a problem or if cancer is setting in. Right? It develops and impacts a man's life over time due to either cancer growth and a result of lack of treatment. So then you have the normal anatomy, that it will feel small and soft, with a squishy fluid, yes, in it. It's the size of a walnut. It sits under the bladder and in front of the rectum. Hence the reason why to have a digital examination, they go via the rectum because it's right in front of the rectal floor on the inside of the anal canal. So it's uncomfortable, it's sometimes embarrassing for some, but it's the easiest means of reaching that gland that sits under the bladder. Yes? Then we have, of course, a blood test that it can do, that will pick up if there are extra cells that's there that are not supposed to be there. So it's supposed to be 0 and 4, and if it passed 4, then you have to line up for some treatment and management. Alright? So symptoms. Sometimes you have to have, sometimes men have different signs and symptoms. Sometimes it's difficult to pass urine or frequency in urine, so from one extreme to the next. and they're hard to pass urine or passing urine every minute. But when you passing urine every minute, it's drip, drip. A drip now, and then you have a strong urge again, and then a drip, and then, so you're not passing the normal flow of the urine, something wrong. And then you may have pain. Once your bladder is full and you need to empty the bladder, you get excessive pain. Once our bladder is full and we need to pass urine, we get a sign, we get a symptom, we get that urge of yes, you need to go and empty your bladder. But once that urge goes beyond just an urge and it's painful, then something may be wrong. Yes? So we check it out. So a need to pass urine frequently, especially at night, these are some of the symptoms. Difficulty starting and holding back, weakly interrupted flow, painful or burning urination, difficulty to have, painful ejaculation, blood in the urine, frequency, painful stiffness. You should consult a health provider if you experience any of these symptoms. As I said, don't put it down to lifting up the bag of cement or to striking a, a heavy blow or something. Just get it checked out. Prostate cancer is the most common non-skin cancer in America, affecting 1 in 7 men. But who is at most risk of getting prostate cancer and why? There are several major factors that influence risk, and some of them unfortunately cannot be changed. Age: the older you are, the more likely you are to be diagnosed with prostate cancer. Although only 1 in 10,000 men under age 40 will be diagnosed, the rate shoots up to 1 in 38 for ages 40 to 59. And 1 in 14 for ages 60 to 69. In fact, more than 65% of all prostate cancers are diagnosed in men over the age of 65. The average age of diagnosis of prostate cancer in the United States is 69. After that age, the chance of developing prostate cancer becomes more common than any other cancer in men or women. Race: African American. Men are more likely to develop prostate cancer compared with Caucasian men and are nearly 2.5 times as likely to die. Conversely, Asian men who live in Asia have the lowest risk. That's just a bit of information. So we advise men, especially those who have a history of cancer, that from age 40 you start doing a test. Yes? So you get it, that's checked out, and the health center is free. But again, men hardly want to go to the health center or want to sit down and wait to be listened to. And so when the ladies carry home the leaflets, they hardly read them. You have to read them for them, yes? And give them the information so they will act on it, yes? So, as I say, I hope you got some, literature that you can share and be informed about. So another peeve topic that most men, at one time, a year ago, Mount Hope held a health clinic for men. We had over 800 men. And when I spoke to most of them, they didn't know that there is something called male menopause or andropause. So it is real, it is there, and it happens. So male menopause is likely onto the same pathway of female. When we reach, we have used up all our eggs and we reach menopause, we can't have any more babies. Male reach that stage just as they go at a longer span. Yes? So andropause is the name for male menopause. It's also known as male menopause or menopause in a medical phenomenon similar to female that can affect men between the ages of 40 and 45. Unlike women, men do not have a clear signpost, so they can go on to all 60 and 65 as much as 80. However, they are distinguished by a drop in the hormone levels, estrogen in the female and testosterone in the male. Low testosterone. Symptoms of testosterone manifest in a number of ways, including physical, emotional, psychological, and behavioral changes. Men frequently notice male menopause symptoms as a gradual loss of energy, muscle, mental focus, stamina, and libido. Importance of testosterone. This is a hormone that has a unique effect on men's total body. Testosterone is produced in the testes and in the adrenal glands. It is to males what estrogen is to females. Testosterone helps build the protein that is essential for normal sexual behavior and producing erections. It also affects many metabolic activities such as production of blood cells in the bone marrow, bone formation, liver formation, and lipid, carbohydrate metabolism, and prostate gland growth. Testosterone is very, very, very important for the male. Andropause syndrome. So it's characterized by diminished sexual desire, erectile quality, in particular a decrease in nocturnal erection, and a significant sign of decreased androgens. So those are the male hormones. When they have a drop in the male hormones, these things start to take place. Mood changes. This can also be associated with decrease in intellectual activity, fatigue, depression, anger, and poor spiritual orientation. So, okay, so I'm now retired, I'm 60, I can't do the things I was doing before. So they no longer play the grandchildren, they become more of a bother, or they're making too much noise. You no longer kick ball with them, you don't want to go by the sea with them or by the pool, and the less in the activities, then the syndrome come on more. A decrease in the lean body mass, along with a decrease in muscle mass and strength. So you can't pedal the shovel and the pickaxe as you used to pelt it before. So you start to feel pity for yourself. Yeah, a little pity party, something going on. A decrease in bone density, when it happens to all of us, osteoporosis. It can often lead to increased incidence of bone fractures and so on. So you're more frightened than you're afraid. Yeah? An increase in fat surrounding internal organs. So how do we diagnose andropause? It's often underdiagnosed because symptoms can be vague and can vary a lot among individuals. Some men find it difficult to admit that there's even a problem. And often physicians don't always think of low testosterone levels as a possible culprit. So they look at everything else. So that these factors often lead to doctors to conclude that symptoms were related to other medical conditions like depression or simply related to the aging, and often encourage their patients to accept that they are no longer spring chickens. So that's not good enough. So if we realize, well yes, andropause is setting in, testosterone levels fall. So now you start the activity. Have the children come around a little more often. Let her keep you busy. Come, Grandpa. Go fetch the board. Yes. Let's do some sit-ups. So you engage some more in those little activities that will keep you sweating and make you feel alive again. But when we sit down in a corner, we accept that all I can do is smoke my pipe, which is bringing on another set of health problems, the smoke and the lungs. Yes? So, lifestyle. Any ongoing strategy to reduce the symptoms and risk of andropause should incorporate lifestyle approaches such as optimal diet, regular exercise, stress management, and the reduction of tobacco and alcohol intake. Coping with andropause. Get a thorough physical examination to give your doctor to have baseline measurements and a record of your health. Like you can keep your own copy of your blood pressure on morning and evening. So they're going to tell me have some fats, look, it's not the blood pressure, so we really know that. And stay active, involved in any medical test, and care that you may require. So you watch your sugar intake. Now sugar don't give you sugar, but when you already have a problem with diabetes 1 or 2, stage 1 or 2, you should avoid sugar will exacerbate the situation, because they get in direct. So you're eating lots of bread, lots of starches, lots of pasta and so on, which break down into sugars. So we cut down. So instead of having doubles, we can have singles. So you know you like a double every morning, and here I want a single today. So cut down on it. Yes? All those foods that turn to sugars, we cut down. So we take out a plate of food and we may have some rice and a piece of macaroni pie, and we have some plantain and sweet potato, some beetroot, and all these are sweet things, eh? And we have some potato salad or macaroni salad. Whoa, the plate half already yet? Yeah, but the pie and the pasta and the, yes, half. So we have a little chunky space now for the vegetables, a little chunky space now for some peas or beans, and then a small space for, I'm kind of keeping a little quarter space for some meats. Yeah? So what we have to do is to exchange all the starchy foods for the vegetable foods. So put more bhaji, pacha, bodhi, same cressel, lettuce, broccoli on that side. And just one slice of macaroni pie, 1 spoon of the fried rice, 1 small slice of plantain, and 1 small slice of beetroot. You understand? Exchange, rearrange the plate. It plays a significant role on your diet. So you don't go in on a diet and just rearranging the plate now. So half the plate is the greens, and then some fruits, then the vegetables, and of course your meats, peas and beans. Yeah? So we changing from that. So we started from the diet. So coping with andropause. So we start with the diet. We keep up with the activities, consider professional counseling, alone or with significant others or with extended family, explore the negative and positive challenges brought on by aging. Communication is an important part. Communication. A great part of coping with andropause, since others in your age group will be experiencing similar emotions and problems like you. Research the pros and cons, starting with testosterone replacement. So you can have the TRT, testosterone replacement treatment or therapy. If your physician feels you have physical concerns that will benefit from the TRT, which is the replacement therapy, determine if you want to try it and discuss your expectations. Incorporate better eating choices and a regular exercise regime into your daily lifespan. Stay lean, supple, and strong. Coping with andropause. Continue doing all the things you enjoy, whether or not you are fast or on top of things, as long as you reach the finish line. So whether you finish first, in between, or the end, you're finished. Yes? Have a positive attitude. That is vital. Follow a regular exercise regime, including cardiovascular workouts. Yeah, a little sit-ups and so on, a little weightlifting. Lessen the weight, of course. So you can't hold on 1 pound or more. Right now, just use a bottle of water. Yes, and we're going somewhere. Exercise keeps you lean, muscular, and strengthens the bones and raises the testosterone levels. Quotes. There are 3 stages of a man's life: youth, middle age, and you haven't changed a bit. Since I last see you haven't changed a bit. So it's youth, middle age, and you haven't changed a bit. You can't turn back the clock, but you can wind it up again. Yeah? The exercises. You can't lift up that weight again, because you lift up a bottle of water. So you still lift up that weight for half an hour. Now you lift up a bottle of water for a whole hour. Yeah? You can't turn back the clock. The trick is growing up without growing old. And age is a question of the mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. Read this document, you have it. So I hope that brings home some message for you and how to deal with andropause. It's real, it's there, it happens, and sometimes it goes unnoticed, and we blame everything else but the aging process. Yes? So another document you have there is one on infections, which is real. It creeps up on us. So as a family planning nurse, we meet clients who come in pretty often. And because they want to get to the bottom of the treatment, they want to get treatment, they want to be cured, they spill the beans. They tell you the truth. Well, listen, I have 2 or 3 partners. This is the story. But having 2 or 3 partners at the same time is dangerous. Because, as the Bible says, 2 shall become 1 flesh. And I prove it over and over as a family planning nurse and in trying to spread God's word, that 2 really and truly becomes 1 flesh. because the female reproductive system is designed in such a way that when she has a lifetime partner, her immune system climatizes to all the secretions, from saliva to urine. And her body climatizes with his secretion and accepts his secretions and absorbs what she needs to absorb and just release what she needs to release. Likewise, the male reproductive system has, with its certain structures, do get affected and is detectable to know when the female of his female partner has been unfaithful. His body senses it as well. Because God, with his intricate artistry of the body, the way it was designed, that each can tell. Have I given it a thought? So, when this female partner copulates with her partner, all goes well, because that is Harry, and her body is accustomed to Harry, and everything goes well. So, I took out the diagram from the definition, because sometimes we have to be careful. Although the children may go on the net and see all kind of thing, when you present to them, you have to present age-appropriate topics. But picture, the female reproductive systems have 3 orifices. The male has 2. But we both have 3 sets of waste products. We have urine, we have the birth canal, where we have our menstruation, and we have the anal canal. The male has the urine, he has the anal canal, but he also has seminal fluid. But he don't have a separate, like us. We have a birth canal, menstruation canal. He don't have a separate orifice for the seminal fluid. You ever stop to think? So that one urine passage that the male has for urine also is the passage for seminal fluid. Give it a thought. So that when he copulates, there's always the presence of urea, uric acid, waste product along the urethra. It's long from the bladder come down. So when copulation takes place, it has to be flushed to protect the sperms. So by nature, a clear fluid called the precum flushes the canal of the waste products of the urine, the urea, uric acid, waste products, and bacteria, everything that's in urine, remember, is waste coming down. So it flushes down, and where it goes? It's in the female. But her body climatizes the secretions, that's all right. So each time he passes urine, or he passes seminal fluid, to that one passage, his female counterpart absorbs that. But when this female counterpart has 2 or 3 partners, but here now, my husband said right now, I need some money, so my partner here just give me some money here, and then this one is take me out. Okay, you hear some real stories to blow you away now. But you have to hold a straight face. Okay, like this, that they're talking, 1 and 1 is 2 and ABC. Yeah? I said, okay, so in this week, you have 3 partners sleeping with. Yes. To see what happens with your first and regular partner, your defense mechanism takes care of that. So that's Harry. When Tom comes along, the defense mechanism says, wait, hold on, what to do with this? Where to, and by the time you stop, what to do with this, where to put this infection take place? Long time. But there's nowhere to send that waste product, Harry's waste product don't go in there. So when they come in, and they give you those stories, you have to explain that. Okay? So this is why they say the 2 shall become 1 flesh. The 2 will climatize, will bind, will combine, and complement each other in every way. So when you have multiple partners, you're exposed. So there's this, not couple, triple, what do you call it? A man with his 2 wives. He comes in every so often. You see she don't listen to me. I buy the antibiotics, all my wives know. I buy the antibiotics. but she don't take it. But each of us are so unique. Our hormones, our genes, we build up different. What one woman would absorb and endure, like another woman can't. So she's very sensitive in this relationship, and all they explain to her that you're having multiple partners because he's having his first wife, his second wife, you're the third wife, as the case may be. So you will always get infection every month. When it's your turn, she's in month 2, coming for antibiotics, because our body is so designed that if you have an infection, one of the things to do is do a culture. We call it a CNS, a culture and sensitivity. So when they send it to culture, it will grow, and then they test it with different antibiotics to see which one it's sensitive with, and that is the one they order for you. So he may be ordering one antibiotic when that's not helpful to her. So what is happening to her over the years? Her body is getting accustomed to antibiotics. It comes like she's taking vitamins. So it's not having an effect. So each time she comes there to do a CNS to see which antibiotic will work for her. And so when I see this, I say, God will be so true. Two shall become one. The two will climatize, but when you have a third and second partner within the same time, so a partner died or a divorce, or there's a separation, and you have been away from a partner for 6 months and so on. Getting another partner, you're now forming another relationship. So your body now climatized with this partner. So we're not saying you cannot move on, but at the same time it's the danger point. Get the message? Yeah? And so the HIV virus, because it has an incubation period of 12 weeks, 3 months, we teach clients, as I'm part of you know, that if you think or suspect that you may be infected tonight, this morning, and you go for a test, they'll have to tell you, come back in 3 months to know if you was infected that night. Because of the incubation period, it doesn't show up its face readily. It takes a period going to hide it, and while it's hiding it multiply, then it takes over some healthy cells, and then shows ugly face after 3 months. Then you will know if you're infected. So that's how scary it is. That's why I take the chances. Because we think, oh, church people shouldn't hear these things because they are, trust me, we are the group of people that need to hear it so we can pass it on and share it with others. Yes, people? So that is how dangerous. You see, when we're in the backyard bare feet, and they get a nail choke or going down to grounds, a series of things happen. What happened to the foot? You get a nail choke. What happened? The foot hurts, it pains, and what happened? It pus? It bleeds, yes, it swells, and yes, it develops. Tetanus. Right, before we reach there. Yes, yes, and pus and so. And the first thing we think of is tetanus, because the tetanus bacilli live in dirty water and working on galvanized, rusty things. That's where they survive. But to multiply, they need to get into the blood vessel, warm blood vessel. So they get in your foot, and you realize, so it's paining. You can't walk, you go. If you haven't had a tetanus injection for either the 7-year or the 10-year, depends on which one you had and what age, what incubation period. So you will get one, and in 2 or 3 days, all right, the foot is healing, and you can walk on it again. So sexual STIs and STDs don't work that way. Not like the tetanus. Yes? It takes long, 4 to 6 weeks before you even know that you're infected. And then it's HIV 12 weeks before you know you're infected. So that we never can tell right away, like that of the tetanus. Yes? The virus is still in the air, even now people. So don't have people smoking in your circle and coughing. One trick, I was trained at Chest Hospital in the late 70s, where TB was very high. And one thing we learned up there, that when somebody sneezes or cough, picture the bacteria in the air, so sneeze it or cough, picture the bacteria in the air, and it comes straight down and it lands on surfaces. That's why they tell you. don't pass their hand on surfaces, and they go on the ground. So we are taught to, when somebody around you, especially the husband, you sneeze or cough, hold your breath, wait till the bacteria going up. Wait till coming on, hit the floor. When you hit the floor, you're safe. Then you can breathe out and breathe. So many years I've practiced that way. You're not busting a maxi, whatever. When you sneeze or cough, hold your breath. Don't breathe. Hold your breath. And pick it, hit the floor. Until you're in a safe zone. Yes? Exercise the right. Somebody smoking, tell them, don't exhale now. If you have to smoke, don't exhale. Second-hand smoke is just as dangerous as first-hand smoke. So right now in the public hospitals, for the last 2 years, we are engaging men in the labor room. They're cutting cords just like private. And you pay thousands of dollars, 15, 18, 20, 30,000. See a baby boy. It's happening in the hospitals. Port Spain, Monto, Grande, San Fernando, Tobago, all the regions. Because Trinidad and Tobago is signatories to the global strategy where we breastfeed for 6 months and up to 2 years and beyond, and we're allowing men in the labor room. And so men have a privileged opportunity now. They don't have to pay for that service. So folks, you have folks in your audience here or in other services at young, engaged, planning, let them know. They can take a more active part, yes, in the family. And they have things to do, yes? For the younger ones, we keep them a portion because there are long-term and short-term and long-term effects of teenage and young pregnancies or pregnancies that is not planned. It shouldn't happen because we know our body, we know it will be in a day and an age when we can plan around what date we want. Yes? I always tell clients that only God and the baby have the true time and date. We have an idea, we can guide you and tell you, yes, this is happening and what will happen in hours. But God in His infinite mercy and His plan put things in place so that we will be well educated and we will have some intelligence. So I would like to share that document for the men, engaging men. Please, we have a PowerPoint that I'd like to share with the men. The enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health is one of the fundamental rights of every human being, without distinction of race, religion, political belief, economic, social condition, or gender. Engaging men in sexual and reproductive health, SRH, across the lifespan is necessary for meeting men's own reproductive needs, including prevention of STIs, HIV, unintended pregnancy, and reproductive system cancers, prevention and management of infertility. And by the way, we do have an infertility clinic. A lot of people don't know. We have an infertility clinic at Mount Hope Hospital, Mount Hope Women's Hospital. You just go to a local health center. If you know anybody struggling, trying to get pregnant and so on, let them know there's a clinic there, but they must be referred by a local health center, the doctor in the local health center. So most of the services offered at the hospital, you must be referred from a health center and they will engage you, give you an appointment and things like that. Management of infertility and male sexual dysfunction and promotion of men's sexual health on a broader well-being. Engaging men is also important given their relationship to others, particularly their partners and families, enabling men to equitable support contraceptive use and family planning, and to share responsibilities for healthy sexuality and reproduction, improve maternal, newborn, and child health, prevent mother-to-child transmission of HIV, and advocate for sexual and reproductive rights for all. Engaging men is also critical to achieving gender equality and challenging inequitable power dynamics and harmful gender norms that can undermine women's sexual reproductive outcomes, rights, and autonomy, and that can discourage health and health-seeking behaviors among men. So men stay out of the health center, they don't go to lots of lectures and so on, because they're usually marginalized. We want to find out that woman like you or that this is rights. He should be entertained, he should be engaging. And so, very early, where they're taught that they have rights and they are supposed to be respective of other people's rights. So, coming out of this, that men think that, okay, one episode that comes straight to my mind is that this group of boys, group of young men from a very prestigious school in South, they decided, no, the girls, the cheerleaders in this prestige school decided to get pregnant with these guys, these footballers in this school. And of course, one thing led to the next, the 5 girls did get pregnant. And what happened to the 5 girls? They were expelled. What happened to the 5 young men? They continued their education, they graduated. Was that fair?
No.
Because they got pregnant alone. But men feel so there. In my younger days, I say hear my grandmother say that when you have hens, you have to tell the neighbor, if you lock up your hens because I'm letting out my cocks. Yes? They put it out to the chickens. Yes? That was so unfair. Nevertheless, evidence shows that engaging men can effectively improve health and equality outcomes, particularly for women and children. Approaches involving men are most effective when they take gender transformation approach, work at the personal, social, structural, and cultural levels, address specific life stages, and reflect a broad approach to sexual masculinities and gender. While there has been a growth in the field of men's engagement since 2010, it has primarily focused on men's role as supportive to their partners' SRH, sexual reproductive health. There remains a gap in evidence and practice around better engaging men as SRH clients and service users in their own right, including providing high quality and accessible male-friendly services. When those men came to the clinic, they were excited, they wanted to be part of everything. They took part in everything we had offered, be it dental, eye, the prostate, they were there. A greater focus is required within global and national policy research programs and services to scale up, institutionalize and standardize approaches to engaging men in SRH. You have to take a bigger role because there are pathways to play. Some men have thought, oh, my wife is pregnant, so there's nothing I can do but to wait until the baby born. No, you have plenty to do. So at Mount where we have what you call Lama's class and the men come there, they are blown away as to the parts they have to play, what is expected of them, you know. They learn to do manicure and pedicure because mommy can't reach anymore, baby in the way. They can't see the toes, yes? So they fix up the toes for them. I like to call her Polly. Sometimes they can't see Polly, and he have to help out. And he have to, she must bring this to the clinic. And sometimes it's a problem, I can't reach, I can't get it, it's spilled. I said, that's where daddy come in. A very important part, yes? And then God put all the oxytocin there. And you walking around with it and she needs some oxytocin to shorten that labor delivery. Yes? You have to limit that down. Since the mid-1990s, there has been increasing global recognition of the need to engage men, yes, in sexual rights and human rights, particularly around contraceptive use and family planning. In 1994, the UN International Conference on Population Development Program of Action highlighted the importance of male involvement in SRH and widely regarded as a seminal development for putting the issue on the map. Yes? The thing about it is, as we say family planning, the first thing, as my sister said, the first thought that comes to mind is contraceptives. But men only have 2 options, the condom and vasectomy, where they could cut a vast difference. That's a tube that take. And this is not me, because half my life going and I cut that. On the contrary, not so. Your life better. I know you're having a plan on the pregnancy, enjoying your life to the max. But they have the notion and the fear that once they cut there, half the life gone. No. And on the contraceptive parts, you have to play an important part. So, let me give you this vivid example. There are some religions that will involve in contraceptives and some will not. So two come to mind. Catholics, they don't involve in contraceptives, and some Muslims, they like natural methods. And there's one natural method identified by Mr. and Mrs. Billings. It is the secretion that changes, so you know when to exit the day, you know when to abstain. So it has so many names. It's called the calendar method because it can count the calendar. It's the cycle method because it works with our cycle. It's the natural method and it's the Billings method. All that name for this one method. So my sister in her first pregnancy, she vomited through the entire pregnancy till the day the baby born. She said, "Not me again." I said, "Oh, but he's a beautiful son, yes." And before he could reach 1 year, my sister was vomiting again. I said, "I told you, tell me you don't want no more girl." And she, "I don't know what happened so quick. I don't know what happened to me." And she vomited, but she vomited less to the second one. She said, "Not me again, this time." And she put up her calendar. And she put up the calendar. And she counted. So day 1 of the period, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. When she did day 10, from day 10, she put an X, 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 X. Because from day 10 to day 14, the egg traveling down the tube, and it takes 4 days. So that 4 days, if you should calculate, you can get an ectopic. That's a pregnancy in the tube. So she started mark from day 1, but you should really start a mark from day 14, eh? But she marked from day 10. So then 4 days, hardly likely. But from day 14, for 8 days, you come 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. So you have them 8 days in red. You know, not me. And then be free again. Yeah? So she said, "Girl, every month." So my nephew is 10 years. My nephew is 11 years, and my niece is 10 years. So 10 years has passed. And she put in her X. And I see my sister vomiting. I see you just only vomit one time. What wrong with you? She said, "Girl, me put no X. It's 10 years now I'm using this. I ain't put no X." I said, "What happened again?" I said, "True, fast me." I call my brother-in-law. I said, "You know, my sister be so sick, you get that girl sick, you cannot get pregnant." Yeah, girl, I went to look at the almanac and I see no X. It take time off to look. Well, remind her now. So this is why this is the important part of the men and even the contraceptive. So we have the men, you have to step up your role. Step up your role. Yes? It is your responsibility too. Yes, there's only 2 for you to use. All your is already female in mind. So guys, pass on the information for Hunte. It's important that it take part in their role as a leader of the home, yeah, as a priest of the home, and to take command. So let's do a little bit of the emotional intelligence. So this is there for everybody. So one of my colleagues, Salima Mohammed, she's a staff midwife from Arima, she put this together. Emotional intelligence is defined as the ability to understand and control one's own emotions, analyze their emotions, distinguish between different emotions, and to use emotional information to guide your thinking and behavior. Self-awareness. So when we are self-aware, we know our strength, our weakness, as well as how to react in situations and people. Self-regulation, emotionally intelligence. People can regulate their emotions to keep their behavior and response in check because they're emotionally self-aware. So it's something we have to work on sometimes. Yeah? Even as church people. That's motivation. People with high emotional intelligence tend to be highly motivated as well, which make them more resilient and optimistic. So you always think high. Yes, things will work out. empathy. People with empathy and compassion are simply better at connecting with other people because you hear what they're not saying and you can see beyond. They're just showing a face. Yeah, but listen, something is happening there. Social skills. The social skills of emotionally intellectual people show they genuinely care for and respect others and they get along well with them. So then we have hijackers, emotional hijackers. Think about that. People want to make you. So I always tell people, don't let anything or anyone steal your joy. Pause first before you react. And always keep in mind, no one or no situation would steal my joy. So emotional hijackers are anything, person or situation that causes you to respond or to react with strong emotional response, with sudden intense behavior, by saying or doing something you may regret. It is important to think things through before responding, as this helps prevent your emotions from hijacking your behavior. It could happen to anybody. Emotional intelligence skills. So you have personal competence, self-awareness, self-management, and social awareness and relationship management. You know, we meet all kinds in all spheres of our lives, not so? And all the time. So being aware of your emotions and recognizing how they manifest as they are happening. Knowing how you react to triggers. For example, if someone disagrees with you in an argument, you might roll your eyes or slam things down on the table to show your disapproval. Your ability to accurately perceive your own emotions in the moment, understand your tendencies across situations. The easiest thing to do is walk away. You can walk back afterwards. Don't want, you can call it chicken, but it's all right. High self-awareness requires a willingness to tolerate the discomfort of focusing on feeling that may be negative. The only way to genuinely understand your emotion is to spend enough time thinking through them to figure out where they come from and why they're there. Yes? Emotional intelligence skills. So we have personal awareness. Some questions that you can ask yourself. What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? Very important decision for making. Tune into subtle feelings. Only 36% of people are able to accurately identify their emotions as they happen. So it's not that, sometimes it takes a little while. Yeah? Self-awareness case study. So, this is Maria, an HR manager. She scored 90%, self-awareness score. She remains calm, cool, and collected in every situation, whether good or bad. Even when she must have felt angry or frustrated. She's honest about her feelings and without getting bent out of shape about it. She understands how to be firm yet kind at the same time. She's very aware of her tone and makes an effort to keep the conversation appropriate. She stamps on things. She makes excuses. Yes, definitely. Strategies to build self-awareness. Keep a journal of your emotions. Feel your emotions physically. Know who or what pushes your buttons. Spot emotions in books and movies. Get to know yourself under stress. When a gentleman comes in with his wife, he used to come every month, and he wants to talk for the patient. He said, "Sir, could you wait? We will let you talk to the lady." Oh. So when you see a character like that, and you know you might trigger, nurse, you handle this case, taking a walk. Sometimes you really have to walk away, no? Because you want to control. Yes? Check yourself. Facial expression, dress, posture. So do you know non-verbal communication speaks louder than verbal communication? Wow, the facial expression, the way you walk, the way you talk. Yeah? Hey, loud. Look like sometimes where we have quite a lot of Spanish-speaking patients and so on, we have to deal with the Viennese, we call them. And sometimes we go to them, okay, hi, do you speak English? And they tell you no. So how you understand what I just asked you? So sometimes when you meet a character, they're smart, they're very tricky. and they want to get your attention, and they want you to spend some more time with them. Nothing wrong with that, but when we have to, see so many persons. Do you speak English? No. How you just understand what they're asking? Do you have pain on the breastfeed? No. Oh yes. So they'll answer appropriately. You want to know? Okay. And then they'll want to spend some time to pick up the phone and they put some English and they translate and whatnot. So you realize they're just being tricky. So rather than deal with those clients, sometimes I say, hi, I call my colleague. And you speak Spanish? Take over this one. So you want to keep it cool. You have to know what pushes your buttons. So things like that, you know you don't want to deal with it, pass it on. Seek feedback. Often a big difference between how you see yourself and how others see you. Because especially coming down to the end of your career, you want to leave with a good repetition. You don't want to leave saying, oh gosh, she changed, boy, she really good, she does what people know. That mustn't be any kind of remark. After you spend how many years, putting out your best foot, doing your best, and then just out of the blues, people come from wherever to come and muddy your water. That won't work. Next. So continuing with emotion, they want a personal self-man. Managing your emotion and finding better positive ways to express them. For example, during an argument, you might respectfully end the conversation to de-escalate the situation without making the other person feel ill because they don't agree with you. Say, okay, all right, let's finish here now. I'm going to do something else. I'm taking off the phone. Those are taking off on here. Rub it in. Yes? You want to come off on you just want to de-escalate. You want to move on. Next. Self-management. You must have the ability to use your awareness of your emotion to stay flexible and direct your behavior positively. Manage your emotion reactions to situations and people. Keep disruptive emotions and impulses in check or control. Be comfortable with new ideas and approaches. And be transparent and handle. One of the things in breastfeeding, we say, we accept what the patient say, whether it's good or bad. You accept it, and in an appropriate moment, you correct it. Because you don't want them to feel that you're rejecting everything they say. So one of the things we learn is to accept and then correct. But find an appropriate time, because we notice, well, over my years, pregnant people and breastfeeding people are eggshell people. They cry quickly. They get upset, all the hormones all over the place. So they get upset very easily. If you are patient in one moment of anger, you will avoid 100 days of sorrow. Aye, Tibetan proverb. If you are patient in one moment of anger, you save it. Yeah? If you are patient in one moment of anger, you will avoid 100 days of sorrow. Yes? So we have mood management, self-motivation, dealing with setbacks, dealing with stress, managing time, energy and work, and avoid unwanted. Do you know that stress manifests itself physically? When you're under certain stressful situations, you feel like if the dagger actually going in there. That's how real it feels. This time is a stress situation. So if you just kind of quell it and to cover it up, it wouldn't work. You have to go to the root of the problem and get rid of it. Yes? Then you'll get it moving on. Emotional skills, count to 10, keep on it, smile and laugh more, set aside some time in your day for problem solving, take control of self-talk, visualize yourself succeeding, speak to someone. So succeeding, speak to someone and not emotionally invested in the situation, so a different person, and put mental recharge into your schedule. Once you have identified and are able to manage your emotions, you now have insight into how others manage or don't manage their emotion. So now we can help somebody else. Being aware of behaviors and the lack of awareness from others and developing the ability to see things from a different perspective. Alright, social awareness skills, the ability to identify emotions in other persons, understand. So when you can identify what's going on with you, then you're in a better position to help someone else. What did the Bible say? Seek the most having mood in your eye before you can see the mood in somebody else's eye. Listen and observing are important elements. Right? So to listen well and observe, we need to stop doing many things like we do. Stop talking. Stop focusing on thoughts in your mind. Stop anticipating. The person finished talking, but you put in a part. Stop thinking ahead of what you are going to say next. Social awareness strategies. Can we go on to the next one? Can we move on? On to visual 6. Your ability to use your awareness and emotions to others to develop and maintain relationships. These skills are vital in working with teams and customers and customs. Relationship management skills: maintain close relationship, motivate others, lead by example, develop others, confront issues and discuss, collaborate and work as a team. And there's where communication comes in a lot, right? So this is our next case study, and this person's called 69. Natalie is a floor supervisor, her relationship management. 69 as opposed to 90 just now. What she did different? She minimizes a personal point of view experience. So she cut them down one time to minimize. She justifies bad situation by stating, it could always be worse. You just don't understand, or you should just get over it. Natalie comes across as a blunt and non-empathetic. She not seeing the person's point of view or how they're feeling. She finds fault in every situation. So her score is dropped. Yes? She has a stigma that she's tough, difficult to work for, and unapproachable. She achieves results, but at the expense of others. Natalie makes judgmental or negative statements to her team when her statements have no value. So that's why her value dropped. So let's do this case study. What is taking place here? Indicate the emotional intelligence flaws in this scenario and demonstrate or state the appropriate emotional intelligence behavior that was required. What's the thing taking place here? We have a Natalie and we have a what's the first person name? The first person's called 90. Forget her name. Yes. So we have a clear case of 69 and 90 yet. Seen it? She could see the negative in everything, and the other person could. So she minimizes, she talks down, she finds fault, and the other person's being empathetic. Yes? So you know there's a difference between sympathy and empathy. Yes? So sympathy is feeling sorry for the person, or want to put yourself in the person's position. If she says me, I am, and you change the topic, so the topic come back to you. But if it's me, I will do so, you know, I used to do so. So you're feeling sorry for them and you're putting yourself in the situation. But empathy is hearing what the person not saying, or listening to the person, going to their feelings. So you're feeling real bad about it, girl. As I said, if it's me, I will do so. So there's a big difference between sympathy and empathy. Yes? Coming to the end now. So we have management strategies. Explain your decision, don't just make them. Yes, so get a team approach. Make your feedback direct, especially if it's indicated for one individual. Compliment persons, align positive intention with your impact, and tackle a tough conversation and resolve conflict. You don't want to exacerbate it. Yes, be open and interested, enhance communication skill, avoid giving mixed signals, be focused, take feedback well, have an open door policy. Only get angry on purpose. Get angry at all? We are humans. Acknowledge other person's feelings when you care. Show it. So these are things we must keep in mind. And just a touch. And sometimes you may know it, and we haven't even a little reminder. So I hope this was just a jog of memories and bring it back. So we have power in our tongue. We have to talk about the tongue, but the ship being guided by, this big ship being guided by this other steering. But the tongue has more power over the body than anything else. It can kill it or it can make alive. So I have this this impacted me so much, I like to share it with my audience where I go. So, we made history, Trinidad and Tobago made history in 2013 when we had a client who gave birth to 6 babies. Remember that? 6 events? I learned a lot from that client. So, when she gave birth, prior to that, in every country, so it led me to read up on other places that have multiple pregnancies. So the obstetrician will offer reduction in that they make a decision to decide that we will take out one so the others have better survival. But which one you'll take out? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6? How do you know? So my client said, no, wait, I'm having 6 and I'm bringing all 6. However, if I end up with 3, I'll be happy with my 3. To this day, 13 years after, I often wonder, she'd say 4, she would have had 4. Power of the tongue. She said if I end up with 3, I'll be happy with my 3. She had 3, she ended up with 3. 3 died as they born. The half pound, the 1 pound, you know, they struggle because they were different weights. And to this day, she's happy with her 3. And it made me more aware of how I'm speaking. And when you speak things about yourself, let it be positive things. If you can't speak nothing positive about somebody, zip your lip. Because your tongue is really powerful. So at this point, I'd like to bring, I don't know if there are any questions. And I hope I have targeted the men and their reproductive health and bring some things to light. If there are no questions.
One question.
Sure.
To your understanding, is there a link between the male menopause and the midlife crisis that we sometimes undergo?
Definitely, because there's no significant age attached to it. Some documents tell you 40 to 50, some tell you 65 and onwards. So the midlife crisis may well be a sign. So then when you do your testosterone levels, probably you do the test, you know, because remember in the blood will show up all our different hormone levels and so on. Then you can really pinpoint or identify. But there may well be a link. I can't say yes definitely, but it's a high probability that there's a link between midlife crisis and menopause or andropause. Any other question? So I'm hoping that I have bring some information to you. Yes?
I have one question. I just want to ask, in terms of the emotional intelligence, if you want to deal with, and I belong to a group, and I see that a number of people, because they're so vested in supporting, it's like a sport group, they just believe when you support a team, you just keep praising. So, but there's a problem. And if you don't identify the problem, you can't even solve it. And the moment you try to highlight the problem, everybody sees you as negative. So, and I am of the school of thought that believes that you can't solve a problem if you don't even accept that the problem is there. So, in such a case, how do you handle these people, especially when you have very vocal, they may be in the minority, but they're quite vocal, and a few people may feel bullied, you know, as to expressing themselves. So how do you speak with, how do you solve a problem or a concern without talking about the problem?
So, based on what we just saw there, so I can even leave this with you. Based on what we just see there, we have to first identify that there is a problem. But the discussion should be with the entire group and being able to identify, yes, this is what happens at times, or. So we first have to accept that there is a problem. A smoker will never get healed unless he accepts that he's a smoker or that he is on drugs. You have to first accept and then to get the management or the treatment. it's like you're going to a clinic or you're having a problem, but you don't know what caused the problem. So the caregiver will have to do certain management, whether it's be the doctor, the obstetrician, whoever is the caregiver. So they do certain tests, they run certain tests, and they get the results together, and then they put the results together, along with social history, past medical history, past surgical history, and then they put them together. And then you can identify that yes, this is the problem, and this is the management of the problem. So you have to have discussion with the entire group, identify what this is highly noticeable, and agree. So you have to put it to a vote again. So that's a strategy in getting to how many really realize there's a problem, because they probably didn't realize there's a problem or they're not seeing the problem. So we have to put it to a vote. So do you think? So sometimes we have to put the question back to them. You may identify there's a problem, but then you have to put it to them now. And then put it to a vote. And then sometimes we know, so you could zero in on the persons who really created the problem. Because we have those who may be supporting and not want to look like they're screening on. And you will have an idea where the problem is stemming or coming from. So we can put it in a way that we put the question back to them, have an open discussion, and then exercise some of the things that we saw in coming down to the root of the problem. You must get to the root of the problem to get it corrected. So if you said yes and they're getting angry and they're getting vexed, then why? So probably we can also put it to vote, we can put it in paper. Let them write, each of them write to say what you think, how this is going, and if you find out a problem. You will get the truth coming out in more one-on-one. In a case like that, no name, no form of identification, just do it. And this is what we do when we go to the schools. Remember I tell you we have along the things that we teach as short-term and long-term adverse effects of teenage pregnancy. And you tell them, and they put the questions to you. With all the, once they don't have to put the name, they write. They're very open. And in doing that exercise, we realized there were persons who were having oral sex and anal sex in the school, and we had to put the question to the principal and send the questions, and we realized you have a problem here. What do you do if somebody tells you they're pregnant? How to help them? And it means somebody there. We will find out 9 months after in the hospital when they come to us. But you want to find out before. So we send it back to the principal and so on. So these are things. You let them write, put it to the entire group, make a vote, and zero in and do different strategies that the PowerPoint established there, and you will pick up somewhere along the line and use that to get to the bottom of the problem. So don't be getting angry, you'll target you as the bad person. Yes? And the person who scores 90, she overlooked some of the things, but she used other strategy later on. So I will leave it with you so you can explore it, and I hope it will work for you to get to the root of the problem. Yes, I will share the document with you. Any other question? He's inviting you to sit.
That's not good there.
That is my driver. Any other question? It was really a pleasure coming for me to come here and share with you. And as I said, I hope I have touched on the points of what you will hear or satisfy some of the curiosities. Yes? And I hope it will serve you well as you share with others. Thank you.
On behalf of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, City of David, listen. Yes, right. I want to make sure that the name is correct. We would like to thank you for your presentation here this evening. I do not want to know the most of the audience, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. A lot of this, some of the things were new to me, especially the andropause. So I'm going to do some more research where that is concerned, and we really appreciate you coming here this afternoon and sharing all this information on men's health. A little woman health was in there as well. We have really, really appreciate it, and I hope they invite you again in the future.
For your teenagers, for the women, whatever you have again. Feel free.